morning, Smarties. It's Miss Long, and welcome to my little office. I have lots of plants in my office, and I wanted to show you a couple that I've been planting recently. First, I have a couple succulents that I've been planting. They're in some really tiny containers because they don't grow too big. Then I have an aloe plant that I've been growing. Yep, he's a little thing. I wonder what the perimeter of him might be. I'll have to figure that out. And behind me, you can see I have a couple plants behind me. I have a mint plant, I have a basil plant, I have a pepper plant, some thyme, and I've just been growing them inside recently because it's just been not super warm outside every day. We've had a couple cold nights, so I've had to keep my plants inside, but soon they'll be outside. But outside of that, I wanted to read a couple more chapters of our A to Z Mysteries book, The Jaguar's Jewel. We're going to be reading chapter 6 and 7 today. So let's see what happens. Ready? Chapter 6. Dink waited until Yvonne went back to the kitchen, then told the others what he'd just seen. But the office is locked, Josh said. Maybe she has a key, said Dink. Well, where would she get a key? Josh asked. Well, don't you have one? And James Pride has the other? The question is, Ruth Rose said, why did she go up there now when nobody was around? Dink stood up. We need to find out, he said. Maybe she left a clue. Let's go before Yvonne gets back. The kids hurried out into the rain and they scooted next door and slipped through the green door. Look, Dink said, pointing at the carpet, wet footprints. They hurried up the stairs and at the top they saw some more wet footprints. But when Dink's his hand started shaking so badly that he could barely unlock the door. The office was very dark except for the light over the fish tank. The only sound was the tank's bubbling filter. This place is creepy, Josh whispered. Dink checked the floor. Well, there's no wet footprints in here, he said. Maybe Regina Wood just wiped her feet before she came in, Ruth Rose said. Maybe, Josh said, thinking about it. But why is everyone talking so quietly? We're the only ones here. He flipped on the wall switches and the light, ceiling fan, and music all came on. Dink squinted in the bright, sudden brightness. Okay, he said, let's look around. For what? Josh asked. Well, I'm not sure, Dink answered, but Regina Rue came up here for some reason. Either she took something or she left something behind. I'll go through the stuff in the crate, Ruth Rose said. Dink, why don't you check out James's office? Josh, you take the trash can. Why do I have to go take the trash can? Josh asked. Because you're a good detective, and good detectives always check the trash, Ruth Rose said. Well, cool, Josh said back. He headed for the trash can next to the desk. Dink walked into Mr. Pride's office. There was a small desk with locked drawers. A framed picture of 3 people stood on the desk. Dink recognized James Pride in the picture. The woman and child must be his wife and daughter, he thought. Dink then checked a gray file cabinet in one corner. It was locked. Then he ran his fingers across the bookshelves. He checked inside some of the books, not knowing what he was looking for. He even peeked under the rug, but he couldn't tell if anything was missing, and he found no clues. As he started to leave, though, Dink suddenly noticed that one wall seemed different from the others. He just stared at it, trying to figure out what looked odd about it. Then he realized what it was. This wall had no bookshelves, no filing cabinets, no pictures, no anything. It was completely bare. This is the picture on that page. So Dink's staring at the really bare wall, trying to figure out why is that wall bare? Any guesses? We'll see. Dink stepped closer and ran his fingers over the striped wallpaper. Just above his head, he felt a very thin crack. He followed the crack with his fingers until he felt another crack, this one running down toward the floor, 2 feet in the opposite direction. And then a third crack ran down to the floor, almost like the cracks were going up, across, and down. They were almost hidden in the wallpaper. Dink jumped back as if his hand had been almost burned. It scared him so much. Guys, he shouted. Josh and Ruth Rose came running into James's office. Dink showed them his discovery. I think it's the shape of a secret door, he said. He tried to force his fingers into the cracks, but the door just wouldn't budge. Well, if there were stairs behind this wall, Ruth Rose said. They would lead right to the secret door in Yvonne's kitchen. Josh's eyes opened wide. That would mean she could get in here without a key. Do you think she was coming here when I saw her downstairs? Dink asked. Maybe she met Regina Wu, Ruth Rose said. Yvonne could have let her in. Maybe, Dink said, walking into his uncle's office. But why? Why? We gotta keep looking. Did you find anything in the trash, Josh? Zilch, Josh said. On the floor where Ruth Rose had been sitting was a pile of packing peanuts. She had unwrapped each artifact, then put it aside. All I found were the same treasures we looked at yesterday, she said. I don't think anything is missing. The kids continued to search. Behind the curtains, under the oriental rug, they pulled out everything from every desk drawer. They even dug in the dirt in the potted plants next to the window. Nothing but a secret door that doesn't open, Josh said. And we can't check out the door downstairs with Yvonne in the kitchen, Ruth Rose said. So, now what? Josh asked. I don't know, Dink said. He looked at Josh and Ruth Rose, but my uncle is counting on us to find something up here, and I'm not going to stop till I find it. We're now on to Chapter 7. Ready? Chapter 7. But we've already looked at everything, Josh said, flopping down on the rug. Ruth Rose walked over to the fish tank and picked up the container of food. Well, that's weird, she said. There are already some flakes floating on the top of the water. Did one of you guys feed the fish? I didn't, Dink said. Me either, said Josh. Ruth Rose looked at the food floating on the top. Well, someone just fed the fish. Well, maybe it was the fish fairy, Josh said. Oh my goodness, Ruth Rose screamed. What's the matter, Dink asked. Josh jumped to his feet and he and Dink hurried over. Look, what's at the bottom, Ruth Rose said, pointing down through the water. Josh put his nose up really close to the glass. Looks like a bunch of rocks to me, he said. Ruth Rose just frowned. Somebody go turn off the lights, she said. Josh gave Dink a push. Go ahead, Dinkus. Go turn off the lights. Dink hurried over to the wall and flipped down the switches. The music, fan, and lights all went off. Ruth Rose pointed at the bottom of the tank. See that glowy green rock? I think it might be the jewel. Dink elbowed Josh aside and looked at the stone. No, it's too big to be the jewel, he said. The emerald was like a golf ball, remember? Well, you know, things always look a little bigger underwater, Ruth Rose said. Your eyes are playing tricks on you again, Dink. Ruth Rose reached down and plucked the green rock out of the tank. Water was dripping all on the floor as she wiped it on her jeans. Out of the water, the rock didn't look anything like the other rocks in the fish tank. In the tank lake, the rock shone a lustrous green light. Wow, Dink said. It's beautiful. Well, how did it get in there? Josh asked. Maybe the thief dumped it in, Dink answered. Why would the thief dump it in the fish tank? Josh asked. Ruth Rose just shook her head. Maybe he needed a quick place to hide it. Dink nodded. James was here early this morning. Maybe we caught him in the act. I'm turning on the lights, Josh said. He headed for the wall switches. Stop, Dink said suddenly. What's that? What's that sound? Listening closely. What sound? Josh asked as he turned on the fan, music, and lights. Dink walked over and flipped the switches down again. Now listen, he whispered in the darkness. Don't you hear it? I think so, Ruth Rose said. Like a little buzzing sound? Maybe it's the fish tank, Josh said. Ruth Rose clicked off the bubbler in the fish tank. Nope, I still hear it, she said. Now, I hear it too, Josh said. What could it be? Everything's turned off. Well, I'm going to turn on just the lights, Dink said. When they could see, the kids began prowling around the office. Dink stopped in front of the bookcase. Guys, the buzzing sounds louder over here. Josh just giggled. The case of the buzzing books, he said. Dink stood on tiptoe and ran his hands over the shelves. He felt a small button and then pushed it. Suddenly, a shelf slid open. Oh, hey, look, he cried. Those books, they're fake books, Josh said. It's a hidden compartment. The space behind the fake books held a small TV set and a VCR and DVD player. With the compartment open, the buzzing was louder. Then the DVD clicked and the noise stopped. Maybe it was rewinding or playing, Josh said. It must have come to the end of a tape. My dad's machine does the same thing. Yeah, but what would it be rewinding, Dink said. Then the VCR and DVD clicked again. The kids watched as a red light came on the numbers on the machine's face, starting counting up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, Josh said. Now, I think it might be recording. Maybe your uncle has it for security, Ruth Rose said. You could be right, Ruth Rose, Dink said. He glanced at the ceiling. There must be a camera somewhere in the office. Do you think we're on video, Ruth Rose said. Let's take a peek. Good idea, said Josh. Dink quickly rewound the tape to the beginning, then turned on the T and hit play. An image came on the screen. For a moment, the tape showed them standing in front of the TV and the VCR. Cool, we're on tape, Josh said. Then the picture jumped and changed. Now the office looked empty and dark. They watched as the office door opened and James Pride walked in. This must be from earlier today, Ruth Rose said. James got here way before us. Maybe it recorded him stealing the jewel, Josh said. They watched James walk over and switch on the lights. Then he took off his raincoat and walked into his own office. The kids looked at each other. James hadn't gone anywhere near the crate. Maybe hit fast forward, Josh said. We can scan ahead. Dink pushed the button and the tape began roaring really fast. The picture on the screen flickered. Look, Ruth Rose said. Something's happening. Dink quickly pressed play. Then the tape slowed and the kids saw themselves and Uncle Warren walk into the office. They watched as they met James Pride. Then Uncle Warren let in Dr. Pitts. The crate was opened again and Dr. Pitts checked the contents of each package. Now we take the Jaguar out of the crate, Dink said. And the doc tells us it's a fake, Josh added. Ruth Rose pointed at the screen, and here he takes out his flashlight. And Dink and I pull the shades and shut off all the lights, Josh said. The picture went black as the lights turned off. The next thing they saw was the light from Dr. Pitt's flashlight. Then it went out. This is when you found the flashlight for him, Ruth Rose told Josh. A minute later, Dr. Pitts had the light in his hand again and was shining it on the Jaguar's jewel. Then the lights came back on. Regina Wu soon showed up too. And then the police came. The tape showed everyone leaving the office. Dink reached out to hit the stop button. Wait, Ruth Rose said. What about Yvonne and Regina Wu? Oh, yeah, said Dink. Good thinking, Ruth Rose. They watched the empty office for a little while. Dink was about to scan ahead when the door to James Pride's office opened and Yvonne walked in through James Pride's office. The secret door does connect to Yvonne's kitchen, Ruth Rose said. They watched as Yvonne walked across the office straight toward the fish tank. When she got there, Yvonne made kissing noises at the fish, and then she picked up the fish food, sprinkled some into the tank, and turned around and left. The kids looked at each other, a little confused. I guess she's not the thief, said Josh. Ruth Rose turned back to the TV. What about Regina Wu? She asked. They watched the tape for a few more minutes, but Regina Wu never appeared. Eventually, they saw themselves come through the office door. Dink stopped the tape and hit the rewind button. I wonder why your uncle didn't tell the police about this tape, Josh said. If they watched it, they'd at least know that James and Yvonne didn't steal the jewel. Dink nodded. Yvonne didn't know the jewel was in the fish tank, he said, so I'll bet Jean-Paul didn't put it there either. Dink looked sad, and if Regina Wu couldn't even get in the office, Ruth Rose let out a gasp. That means my uncle is the only other suspect, Dink said. We're going to pause there. That's the end of chapter 6 and 7. I hope you all enjoyed. Please stay tuned for our last two chapters, chapter 8 and chapter 9.